I bumped into one of the friendly guys I met at the Regionals and Chronos Protocol on Octagon. He's preparing for the upcoming Nationals, and well, I'm here to pit my miserable deck against his tournament-worthy deck. So here goes. I'm playing my Iain Ste3rling Overmind and E3 feedback deck with Overmind and Grappling Hook to break subroutines. And he's playing The World Is Yours and NBN Fast Advance. Very typical stuff that you see in tournaments. So I'll face check his eyes, make sure I know what I'm up against. Wrap around and a toe move. Alright. Wrap around means I need to get my breach out. And funny thing is, he actually played medical research funding, so I actually have more credits than I'm supposed to, which is very good for me. I like the extra credits. The early extra credits really helped me to get my Mr. Lee out this early. And with the early try buff, I'm now able to get a lot more economy going. And lucky for me, I draw my breach very, very early on, which is very important because I only have one breach in my deck and no special order. So if I didn't draw it early, I would be in huge trouble. Alright, ignore the play that you're about to see. He made a little misplay here. He tried to take 4 clicks in one turn when you only have 3. So he had to take back his install, advance. But that's fine. Meanwhile, looking at my deck, I want to save the hostage. Having a hostage in hand means I can tutor some very important resources on the go, be it Donut, Taganist, or the Source, both of which are quite important. Normally, if given the situation, I would like to tutor an Underworld Context to go with my Dyson membership, but I think against NBN, I would rather have the hostage around in case I need to summon the Source, which, yes, I can foresee myself having to use. Alright, so given his misplay just now, I figured that was a SanSan, so I ran it and ran straight into a Chimera. At least I forced him to use 2 credits to rest the Chimera, so I used my remaining clicks to install my Dyson and Underworld Contact combo. So that's great for me. Now I actually have a good amount of credits, and he's on 0 credits. He's in a very weak position, which means I can easily trash his SanSan. I guess that's a misplay there. He should have not scored the Astro script so early. He should have left some credits to rest the Chimera if need be. More importantly, by scoring the Astro script, he gives me a very huge advantage. 2 credits per turn. He activated my ID, and that is something that he shouldn't have done if he wasn't ready for it. Well, I guess he was ready for it, but he had 0 credits, so he couldn't Astro Train the next turn, and this gave me enough time to bring out my Source. Now, even if he has an Astro script in hand, he cannot score it. So, yeah, I definitely threw a wrench in his plans there. He probably did have an Astro script in hand at that point. So, he continues icing up his servers. I'm not sure about that because, yep, his HQ is pretty secure as it is, and yeah, I'm just content to sit back, get my free credits every turn, and snowball out of control. I don't find myself needing logos. I'm really contemplating trashing logos from my deck altogether. Although it does help tutor the breach when the need arises, so I'm thinking about it. It should probably stay in my deck for that reason. Alright, with Mr. Lee, I drew up Donut Taganist and I decided to play it. Reason being, my deck is so low on operations that I probably won't be affected by it myself, whereas his deck is full of Sweet Weeks and hedge funds and the newfound medical research fundraiser. So I'll force him to click for credits the slow way. So every turn I'm just visiting Mr. Lee, taking credits off Triumph contract, and playing a couple of cards if able. This time I'm playing Inside Man. This will allow me to get my R&D interface out at half price, which is so important. And meanwhile, he's just struggling to deal with the source. He cannot continue with his Astro train. And he's also low on credits, which really doesn't help matters. He continues to fortify his central servers. Again, I'm not I guess he's worried about my newly installed Overmind, which is certainly an issue because it can break through most of his size. Alright, so I find myself another underworld contact, so now I'm really raking in the money. That's 4 drip economy per turn for no clicks at all. It's amazing. Alright, so I need to get rid of cards in my hand, so I play the breach. Now I can get through his wraparound. He continues receiving, just clicking for credits. At this point, I should have noted that. Oh, and he plays Medical Research Fundraiser, so giving me even more money to play with. At this point, I should have noted that he was installing ice even though he had no means to rest them. He was on very little credits. This indicates that most of the ice that he just installed were pop-up windows. That is something I should have been more alert about, although it wouldn't have changed my gameplay either way. Because what I'm still looking to do is to install Sneak Door and raid his hand where he least expects it from behind. Alright, so what he does here is to biotic label the build and use the Astro script to ensure that it gets scored past the source. So my source is now trash. Now is the time that I need to take action, because now without the source, I can steal agendas for free, so-called. So I raid archives with my Sneak Door. I would much rather have a HQ interface, especially when facing against 6 hand size NBN. But I couldn't find any HQ interfaces. The only HQ interface I found, I ditched it with Mr. Lee in favor of a better card. So I'm accessing one card at a time, very slow, but I find myself with breaking news. So I hope he doesn't have any sort of fast advance mechanism in hand. I did see fast tracks, so I'm pretty concerned about that. And of course, he seals up archives. So now it's time to take action on R&D. Yes, it's a pop-up window. As I said, he installed all these eyes when he was low on credits, so those were probably pop-up windows, and I'm actually feeding him credits. That's not something I really want to do. So just a single run, and I fetch the Astro script. Very important to deny him that Astro script. And with my last click, I actually draw into a HQ interface, which was absolutely perfect. And the funny thing is, now I'm on 3 agenda points, he's on 4, so I'm actually still gaining 2 credits per turn. That's amazing. Alright, so he continues to click for credits because he's really poor, and he does a corporate shuffle. Oh, no, he chose not to click for credits. Instead, he corporate shuffled into a sweet sweep, which was the better choice. Although that sweet sweep didn't really gain him much because of Donut. So since he got a fresh new hand of cards, I installed the HQ interface and completely blew his hand wide open. He had only 4 cards. I saw two corporate shuffles on my first run. My second run revealed 2 completely different cards, a sweet sweep and a bill. So I fetched the bill, and now I'm on match point. With my last click, I locked down R&D because he shuffled his R&D. I'm giving him credits, but I hope to close the game. Nope, I don't. So that's that. I think one very big glaring flaw with his placement of ice is that his R&D costs 0 Overmind tokens to get through. So I can actually get through anytime with just breach and paying through pop-up window. Had there been a quandary or any sort of non-barrier on R&D, I couldn't have made so many R&D runs. I couldn't have R&D locked him. Of course, at the end of the game, he told me that he was rather short of ice. He didn't see many ice throughout this game. So that was very unfortunate for him, because his only way of keeping me out of R&D is to make it taxing on my Overmind by forcing me to use Overmind power counters every single run. Alright, so I still don't see any agendas, and he keeps drawing from R&D. So that any agent, hopefully he would draw the agendas instead of me stealing them. I mistily revealed my third R&D interface, so now I get to see 3 cards every run, and it's still for free. No need to spend overmind credits, and I find the NAPD contract to close the game. Alright, this NBN deck archetype is very strong. I mentioned it during my regionals video that I face a deck like this which runs Biotic Labor and Fast Track, and every time you have one of these combos in hand and an Astro script already scored or Res SanSan on the table, it's an instant +2 agenda points. And you just keep comboing until you have 6 agenda points, then you finish off the game with breaking news or something of that sort. So yes, very, very dangerous, very fast deck. And I would think that my Ste3rling deck is actually very weak to such fast decks. However, he made a couple of key misplays that lost him the game. Most notably was scoring the Astro script so that early, as early as he did, because he wasn't able to defend his SanSan after that, and Astro script triggered my ID's passive ability, which really gave me a lot of credits to play around with. At the end of the game, I didn't have to worry about spending credits to break all his ice. Credits to me mean nothing. Oh, I also told him about the best way for NBN to counter the source. Throughout the game, he was holding back so much and giving me time to set up because he was floundering with the source on the table, unable to continue his Astro train. What he should have done was to install the breaking news that he had since the beginning of the game into his remote. Then that would force a quandary. If I run it, I score 1 agenda point, no big deal. Source gets trashed. If I don't run it, he can score the breaking news the next turn by advancing it 3 times, and that also trashes the source, which allows him to continue his Astro train. That would have placed a lot more pressure on me to start running his servers, which would not be a good thing for me. Yeah, that's another way to counter the source, and it's a reason why I think I should be playing Fall Guy now, seeing how vulnerable the source is to such shenanigans. Alright, that's all I have. Thanks for watching. Hope you found this very enlightening. See you around.